Good morning, downtown church, family, and friends. Do you remember when you were a kid, ever trying to hide your sin or your mistakes from your parents? Maybe you stole some gum from a grocery store and you might have sneaked out to the garage to try and chew it. Or if you broke a flower vase, you might have hidden the pieces in the trash can. When we feel guilty or ashamed, our impulse is to hide. If that sounds familiar, it's because of Adam and Eve. After their sin, they hid from God in the garden. And we kind of know how that one turned out. God found them. Their sin was not hidden. You see, even as adults, we might think that we're pulling a fast one on God. If we push sin out of our minds and refuse to confess to God, we might believe that like chewing gum in the garage, our sin won't be found out. You see, whether you avoid your sin or not, God sees, God hears, and God knows. David tells us in Psalms 69:5, "You, God, you know my folly. My guilt is not hearing from you." I want to encourage you today. Don't pretend with God. He already knows. Be honest about where you're struggling. Rest in His love and learn to walk in His strength. Now, if you've met God, I probably don't need to convince you that God forgives your sin the first time you confess it. That's the standard operating procedure with God, right? What I want you to hear is this. When you confess your sin to God, He is always faithful to forgive. Always. That means God forgives the second time, the seventh time, and even the 77th time. God is always faithful. When many people hear the word repentance, they feel it's some sort of shame or I don't know if I can deal with that. But repentance is not a bad word. It's not a bad thing. Now, it is a part of prayer that many of us dislike because it turns the spotlight towards the part of our souls that we may not want to see. It's in a closet that we don't want to open. So many of us don't do it. We don't ask. Or we ask in a non-specific kind of way. You see, we want to avoid our struggles. We want to avoid our thoughts. But the words spoken too quickly, the deeds that are done in the dark. A part of us knows that they all move to the center stage when we invite God to a point and to beam that light into that direction. But that uncomfortable thing is just the first step in the process that God is drawing us back to Him. I encourage you today, start this day off with repentance, asking God to shine a light into your soul and to look into the dark places so we can receive freedom from those sins. God bless you. Remember to love God, love people, to serve God, serve people. We'll see you tomorrow.